So this presentation is on how to effectively market to the next generation. It's based on a book that I read a few months ago called Grown Up Digital: How the Next Generation is Changing Your World by Don Tapscott. So this is an analysis on marketing concepts that were discussed in the book that I read a few months ago. So first of all, what is the net generation? The net generation was born from the late 70s on to 1997, ages 16 to 36. These are also known as people who were born or are part of Generation Y. They turned first to the internet to communicate, understand, learn, discover information, and find anything that they're looking for. So instead of picking up a newspaper or calling a buddy or anything of that nature, they go to the internet first to seek out information. We are the first generation, and I say we because I was born during this time period. We are the first generation to grow up on computers and cell phones. So as where computers may come second nature and cell phones may come second nature to baby boomers, such as my parents, they always call me and ask me how to operate their iPhone, or where can I find information in Google about something. Whereas it comes second nature to them, it's firsthand to us. It's just like breathing for us. It comes very natural. We also like a collaborative learning environment. We like to share our findings. We like to build off of others' ideas, and I think that makes the idea better as a whole. So we kind of have a collaborative culture in our generation, in the net generation. So what is the impact that this net generation has had on modern life? So in the workplace, as stated, we are approaching work collaboratively and forcing other organizations to rethink how they recruit, compensate, develop, and supervise talent. So we are very hungry. We want someone that's going to give us work and give us challenging work. And if that's not given to us, then we'll speak up. We also expect, I think we have a rewarding culture. I think as younger or I guess when we were younger playing sports, everybody got a trophy. Whether you were first place, whether you were last place, you got some kind of medallion to show that you did a good job. Now, part of me, I think this has kind of handicapped our generation because everyone seems to be a little more coddled than the older generations. But it's going to translate into the workplace to where we're always seeking that next reward. We always want to be compensated. We want faster raises. We want faster promotions. We want that trophy, so to speak, to make us feel like we're worth it, that our talents are worth it to the organization. Education-wise, we are resisting outdated teacher-focused approaches to learning. So the traditional style of classrooms where you just have a one-way conversation where the teacher is more or less dictating to you what you're going to learn that day is quickly becoming outdated. That's why you see more collaborative style learning. We want back and forth learning. I think the online program at the University of Memphis is kind of a modern way of learning. Instead of sitting in a classroom, brick and mortar setting, the learning styles and the learning atmosphere is evolving, and the online Memphis MBA program is an example of that. Also, we have a lot of social awareness. We're very keen on what's going on in our world, and we feel like our voice matters. And we have the ability to communicate our voice and inspire powerful movements. One such example, if you have social injustices going on worldwide, one can quickly use Twitter or any kind of technology such as that to rapidly get out your message and quickly inform others that, hey, this is wrong, or hey, we don't think this is right, or hey, I want to alert you about this situation. So technologies that we use on a daily basis have aided in how aware we are socially. Diversity, we're more tolerant of racial diversity and diverse sexual orientation, whereas the baby boomers, my parents' generation, may not have been as tolerant of that. Intelligence. In the book it stated that that the net geners were the smartest generation ever. Raw IQ scores have climbed by 3 points per decade since World War II. we grew up with the technology, and we have assimilated that technology. So we just view it as another part of our environment, as I stated earlier. The next generation brain is immersed in the digital world. We grew up on first-person shooter games, and what that translates to is that we can track more than one object at a time. Basically, we can diversify our attention span. We have improved hand-eye coordination because we're so immersed in this digital gaming world. Also, our brain functions differently, and we use different techniques when absorbing information. So if you look at a baby boomer, they take an article and they read it from beginning to end, whereas net generers use scanning techniques, whereas we look for the keywords in an article because we simply don't feel like we have time to read the whole article, so we try to pull the key points from an article. The Sumly app, which was in the news maybe a couple of weeks ago, Yahoo acquired the Sumly app from a 17-year-old for $17 million because this app takes an article and basically outputs a cliff note of the important concepts within that article. So as you can see, this type of thinking is being developed in the applications for members of the net generation. So we are also, net geners are also, you have to forgive me, I'm referring to net geners as we, but multitasking is a part of the net generation. We're better at switching our attention. We can multitask. We can go from one process to another. So how do we market to this net generation? Marketing strategies must earn the respect of the net generation. Members of the net generation are prosumers rather than consumers. So as we consume products, we also would like to produce a better product, as in we give feedback, we give ratings, we comment, we share to our friends about the product or service, hoping that it can be optimized in the best way possible. Success in today's marketing world hinges on catering to these up-and-coming prosumers because the net generation will eventually bear kids and raise kids, and I think a lot of our thoughts and a lot of the way we approach products and services will be passed on to the next generation. So what are the 8 norms of the net generation? First is freedom. Give me choice, and the more choices, the better. Customization. We like to make things our own. As you can see the picture in the middle on the right side. As far as this headband is concerned, for a basketball player, we want to pick our own color, pick our band color, put our unique logo on there. So the more customization, where we can make the product feel like our own, the better. Scrutiny. We will scrutinize things. We will look things up online before we go buy a product. Well, 9 times out of 10, before we buy a product, we've already looked it up online and we already know the questions. We already know the answers to the questions that we're going to ask about the product. Integrity. The integrity of a company matters to the net generation. Does this company deserve my money? Or is there a better product out there that could earn my hard-earned dollars? Collaboration, as stated earlier, we want to help make your product or service better by providing our feedback and sharing with our friends. And the net generation also likes products that have entertainment value, that make things fun. We want speed. Give it to me now, serve me now. We don't want to wait. We want our answer now. We want our answer yesterday, as a matter of fact. So the faster the product or service, the better. And innovation. We want the latest. We want the latest gizmos and gadgets. We want the latest technology that's out there to help keep our attention. So the existing and past marketing model has been product, price, place, and promotion. The 4 Ps. We all know this existing marketing model, but Don Tapscott talks about another. He mentions that this marketing model is outdated for the net generation. He mentions another marketing model, which is the ABCDE new marketing rules. So A stands for any place. The net generation wants to buy things any place, when and where they want it. They focus on brand. They want to help shape the brand and the product, focus on communication, We won't tolerate a lecture. Standard ad communications on TV, one way, as in on the TV, we have one-way advertisements where we can't give our feedback and where net generators can't, provide scrutiny of a particular advertisement. Net generators want to replace that by two-way conversation. Discovery, as mentioned earlier, we talk about, or the book talks about how net generators research prices online so they can negotiate prices in person and get better deals and make sure that the company, is selling a comparable product to what we find online. Experience. We expect the product to be an experience. We want it to be fun. We want it to be entertaining. So these are the new marketing rules that the author of the book thinks should replace the 4 Ps. They're called the ABCDE. So as some advice just from reading the book, I just put together a few slides on some advice that I would have for companies who are trying to appeal to the net generation. The first piece of advice would be to refine your logo branding strategies. Logos need to be sleek, they need to be modern, they need to be simple, they need to be symmetrical, bright colors work, and they also have to have a cool factor. So as I stated, these 7 logos of football teams and oil companies and eBay and Microsoft and the food companies of the world, as you can see, they have refined their logos to be more symmetrical. They have bright colors to catch your attention, and they're very simple. They're not outlandish, cursive designs, because these sleek brands catch the attention of the net generator because it makes your product or service feel cool. It feels like the cool thing to do. Another point of advice I would have for companies is to effectively use contests and discounts to lure the net generation. Utilize discounts such as Groupon. I think everybody knows about Groupon and the deal of the day that you can get from a particular service or product. Gamify sales of products by contests. So if you have a contest that will, enhance your sales portion of your product, if you put this into a game factor, this is the type of things that net generation people respond to. It creates competition between clients, and it increases the use of that particular product or service. So if you buy X amount of our products, then we will offer you a getaway or a trip or things of that nature. Net generation members also respond, as stated earlier, to tactics similar to games. We also want you, the organization, net generators that is, to support socially responsible causes. The net generation is very social, or very conscious of social causes. They care about issues such as the environment, world civil rights, human persecution, animal rights, and world hunger. Companies should merge these social causes within their marketing in order to forge an emotional connection. An example of this is the Pepsi Refresh Project. And also companies, who, we want a greener world, we want a cleaner world, a cleaner environment. So if you're socially responsible as far as having programs, recycling programs, or changing out paper bags to more efficient bags that are reusable at a grocery store, net generators respond to that. And it may seem like something small, but they pay attention to those small things within your organization. Local social networks. I think when people mention the term social networks, your mind always thinks about the Facebooks and Twitters of the world. But local social networks are becoming an increasingly valuable way to market to the net generation. People who use these local social networks want the ability to find a store quickly, find a store or service in their area very quickly and reliably. Examples of this are Google Places, Yelp, Angie's List, Merchant Circle. I know I've used the app Around Me to look for, and Urban Spoon to look for restaurants when I'm in an unfamiliar city to help me quickly find a restaurant that's within my price, that's within my culture, whatever kind of food I want, American, Italian, things of that nature, and I expect the app to give me answers very quickly. So in conclusion, organizations and companies must continue to evolve their marketing styles to reach the millennial generation, or net geners, or Generation Y, or folks like myself. They're all synonymous. Traditional marketing practices are becoming outdated, and as stated in the book, the ABCDE rules of marketing will continue to evolve and take the forefront and eventually replace the historical 4 Ps styles of marketing. Strategies in this book that I read should be considered by organizations and companies looking to evolve with the new generation that's up and coming. And the marketing branches of companies must appeal to this up-and-coming generation if it wants to remain competitive. So technology, speed, innovation, socially responsible, those are the things that people of the net generation value. And I think you will see a shift towards that as time moves on. So a little background information on the book in closing. This is a picture of the book I read. As I mentioned earlier, it's called Grown Up Digital, How the Net Generation is Changing Your World. The author is Don Tapscott, and it was published in 2008. It is a very great read, a very interesting read. It's hard to encapsulate just how much I learned in 300 pages or so of the book in 15 slides. But I would encourage anybody who's listening to this presentation to pick up the book and read it and see how this new generation, from a historical perspective, responds to things and how it's changing our environment and our world as a whole.